Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm here for Tony Hernandez. He is in Del Rio in felony court this morning. And I just wanted to let the court know that that's where he's at.
All right. Is he in Del Rio in felony court for jury trial?
No, not for jury trial, but he's there for the things.
All right. Tell him his client is here on trial.
He does know that. He just wanted to let the court know that there's a possibility he might not make it back.
When are we going to break for
Okay.
lunch?
Tell him he needs to make it back because this is a jury case.
Okay.
All right. And tell him his client is dressed for trial in a Nightmare from Elm Street t-shirt. The zombie apocalypse may be upon us.
I love it. I got to tweak some of the audio levels just a little bit. I've got to tweak that, but fun little soundbite from this morning. Nightmare from Elm Street shirt. I'm ready for jury trial, Your Honor. I'm here. Wow.
Just subject matter
We
jurisdiction.
should probably do that. Let's see. We need, let's get this there. That's ready. Audio's on from there. We're all good. We're ready. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Thank you very much for joining me today. Big shout out to Phil, TYO Toys on Twitter. If you're not following him, he's one of the few I recommend on Twitter. Phil caught something in the testimony. I believe it was yesterday. And you probably talked about this yesterday. I just heard about it now, and I saw Phil's tweet. There was a gentleman in the gallery when the Pixel dude was testifying. There's a gentleman in the gallery that's like, he looks over towards, from where he was sitting, that he looks towards the jury, and he's doing this, and multiple times he was shaking his head no. And that is a no-no. That is a no-no. That's equivalent. If you go to like an auction at like Sotheby's or whatever, and you're like, oh, I was just scratching a little bit. You don't do that. Okay, you raise your hand at an auction. You just bid. You shake your head at a juror, and you just communicated it with a jury in a way that is not appropriate. So yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Email sent for the confused OSHA guy. Wonderful. So Phil, good catch on that one. I tweeted that out as well. Let's see. Love it. And it was, let's see. Some of the stuff we've also tweeted today was from Phaedra Haywood, a reporter who's local there in the court. So good stuff happens all around. Let's see. We have some things to mention. First of all, like this, Braxton Heaps. Thank you for the super chat. Also, Kim R. first in chat. Kim is our honorary internet owner, I think. There comes a point in somebody's criminal career when they are, it's not recidivism so much as they don't know how to not do crime. And Kim is that way when it comes to winning the internet. She doesn't know how to not win. I don't know what she does. She's got like faster internet than everybody else. She can get in a live stream faster than I can pull it up on my screen. And I literally know the second I create it. And she's already in and said hi. So I think you like work at YouTube or something. I don't know. You've got like an inside scoop. You have a time machine. Kim is the armor on our set. All right, that's Jinx. But she's the good one. If only that were a marketable skill. I'm sure it is. You know, back in the day when they have like radio contests, Kim, I imagine you won all those contests. You're like, be caller number one, and Kim's like, I'm on the phone already. It's funny, we're already here. Kim, congratulations. The internet is all yours. We're sentencing you to ownership as well. You literally wrote the book as far as standard operating procedures for internet ownership. So you know what to do. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kim is ready to go. We're ready to go. All right, we are going to be back in court here momentarily, hopefully with our fingers crossed. We've got about 7 minutes before court's supposed to start, which means it'll probably start in about 25 minutes. We're always late, always perpetually late here. But I see everyone is here. Welcome. Please take your seats. Wonderful to have you here. All the new members, please understand that we do have reserved seating for you. We literally have like taped off the whole row on the front row, and you just have to claim your seat. If your name is in green in chat, that would indicate that you do have a reserved seat, and you just go ahead and type !seat, and you can claim that seat, and then you don't have to sit behind anyone except for the lawyers. And then, if you want, you could be a jury member, and then you get to sit in the jury box, or you could be a lawyer, and then you sit with, no one sits in front of you. You can wander around the well, virtually speaking. Anyway, Red Pan gifted 5 memberships this afternoon to kick things off, as well as Jill Ballard and Kim R. each gifted membership as well. So appreciate the generosity and getting people out of gray and into green and out of slow mode. What do we call that? Is it just slow mode hell? Is that what we call this? When slow mode gags us from speaking freely. Taminator also gifted a membership. Thank you very much, Taminator. Nicole P. Says, love our reserved seating, so happy I found this channel. You've got one of the good seats. Got one of the good ones. What do you have a good seat? It's like season tickets to your favorite team. You're not going to trade your seats, okay? It's like, no, those are my seats. I'm going to keep these every year. I'm going to come back, and I appreciate you guys keeping those seats out. Speaking of reserved seats, Fit for Life 8 just gifted 10 new memberships. Coffee and Crime gifted 5, and Vince Clortho gifted 1 as well. So another 16 reserved seats just became available. So if you are still in gray, slow mode purgatory. We'll do that. Slow mode purgatory. If you're still in gray, make sure you type. Well, someone's going to type ! Gifts in chat, and just make sure that the setting is turned on to allow gifts on this channel, because that puts you eligible to receive. And YouTube is the one who deems if you should receive or not. And how they do that, nobody knows really. It's one of the great mysteries of life. I think it's like the 17th wonder of the world. But how YouTube gifts memberships, we do know that being here often helps, and contributing in chat helps. So that is my recommendation. Subscribe, and liking the channel. I think liking the channel is a requirement. You have to like every single video that I've ever produced. Just kidding. I don't think that is, but it helps me. It helps me. All right. That being said, we are about ready to go back to court. We just have nothing to see here, unfortunately. It's sort of quiet on the court front. Does that flag look? Let me move out of the way first. Does that flag look like it needs to be fluffed? And I worked in the military environment for a little while as a contractor for the Department of Defense, and when the flags are set up inside buildings, there's like a standard for how the flag hangs on the pole, and it's almost like it's like a little triangle. Isn't there like a guidebook for how to hang? You can't just tip the flag up and make it. You have to fluff the flag. That's it, Kim. You have to fluff the flag. Someone should tell the judge, or George. I think it's probably George's responsibility. All right. Recovery Addict leading the YouTube algorithm. Do we know how many witnesses defense has on their list? Judy, the defense list is out. We've talked about a few of you guys have it already. I have not bothered to look at it just because I know that they don't have to call everybody. I know that I think Thel Reed was on their list at one point. It might have changed since then, but I don't know how many total. I thought somebody said it's 17. Was that right, or was that the wrong list? You have to like the stream to get a possible gift, Reggie. I'm with you on that one. I agree. Adam has resorted to mundane non-member emoji strings to get noticed. Adam, how did you end up in gray? We'll have you back in no time. Let's see. It's March 5th. Adam, here's the idea. Adam, we've got you've got the MC hammer. Thursday we have a podcast, and it's a new month. And the first Thursday of every month, we are able to give away 10 gift memberships as a channel. Promotional memberships is what they call them. It functions the same as a gifted membership, but YouTube allows me to do that straight from the channel, and only that many. So I'm thinking the first people in the podcast Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Should be, when we start, that should be the first thing we do, and the people who are there have the highest chance of winning. It's a lower group of people listening. It's a little quieter. It's in the evening. But if you really want to win a membership, that's the place to be. And then just remind us to give the memberships away. So we can almost guarantee you a win. Like almost, I think it's like 95% chance that you would win at that point. Okay. Where are we at? Cody, you're not green yet. Make sure you've checked the gift membership box and you've, let's see, where's the link? If somebody can type gifts one more time. There it is. I think a lot of people have typed it. Let's see. Let's see. How long does a gifted or one membership last? They last for 1 month. They're 1 month. All the memberships last for 1 month. I think you can set it up to reoccur if you wanted to purchase your own membership, but the gifted ones are just 1 month long. So there's a link right here to go to if you don't know what the setting is. If you go to the link on that page, make sure the slider is moved to the right. So on your screen, as you look at your screen from left to right, you want the button to be moved over to the right. And you only have to do that one time, and then you should be good to go. Who was shaking their head? Phil, is it all right if I show your Twitter on stream? Is that okay? You're not going to be objected. You're not going to object to that one? I don't think you will. Hang on one second. Let's see if I can. I typed tweet in the search bar. Elon's mad, but I still search for X by the name Twitter on Google. Let's see, Phil, where are you at? Do you want to go toys? Let me get this one out of here. Okay, bring this guy over. Trying to get just Phil on screen and not everything else on my computer. Okay, so here we go. On this right here. This is Phil, by the way. TIO Toys. This is the Twitter feed. He says, in this clarified version, it appears gallery guy shakes his head looking at jury. Probably shouldn't do that. Hashtag Hannah Guttierrez. And then let's see if I might be able to play this.
Clarified that it is brighter than the others.
There's a shake.
That's correct. That the use of the tonal value analysis did in fact verify
shake.
That.
It's a yes.
It verified that it is brighter than the others.
Shake.
That is correct.
Yeah. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. That guy is there again today. We're gonna have to keep our eye on him. We're gonna have to pay close attention if he's back in court and he's wearing the same shirt. He hasn't changed. Maybe he's like me and he has like 6 of the same shirt. He's answering the questions for the guy on the stand. Oh, that's bad. That's really bad. But Phil, great catch. I don't know where you heard about that, and I know, or if you owe anyone else any credit for catching that, but I saw it from you. So thank you very much for catching that and sharing that with all of us. If you want to see those things right as they're caught from Phil directly, you can definitely do that.
Somebody just sent me a video
by subscribing to him on
fighting.
Twitter.
I don't know who
follow
won.
his channel, and you'll get the updates as I do. Okay. Now, where are we? Not this one. Okay, I don't think I need that anywhere. So audio off there. It's on 7, but we're going to take 2 instead. Okay. All right, here we go. Now we have everything we need. We're back. We're back in business. Shady business around this mess, says Cindy. It makes me shake my head a little bit, almost like he did. Lizzie, Primate Meow Meow, just gifted five memberships as well. I missed that as it came in. Shara's gifted 5 memberships. You guys are super, super generous. Thank you for that. We're running out of people to receive them. Yeah, that's a cool problem to have. Recovery Addict, goldfish from memory lapse, OSHA guy on the thumbnail. OSHA guy on the thumbnail. Oh, question marks. Question marks. Let me bring this up. That's what we'll use camera 3 for. We'll use that to edit our picture. Hang on. Camera 3 will be our editing picture. I have eight cameras to choose from, but this one will be just for that. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay. Well, we're still waiting. We're going to go ahead and jump over there to let you know. You needed something for OSHA guy. The last thing I added was the poop emoji. That's why this is here. We'll clear that out. We don't need that anymore. We're going to do question mark. Red looks good, but it's going to blend in to the bottom. Blue would stand out like this. And where do we put it? Who's going to be confused? Dazed and confused. The cat? The cat might be. The cat is definitely dazed and confused. Because he's got that look about him, you know, if we zoom in a little bit.
I'm not a cat.
I'm not a cat. I knew that was coming. Tip it just a tiny bit. There we go. We'll zoom out. I like that. It's also, oops, I don't need that. Wrong button. Not a sponsor. Using Canva. Canva is an online web tool to make this. This is how I make all my thumbnails. Love it. If you do want a link, I think I can give you a referral to Canva, but yeah, it does not pixelate
Somebody
anything.
just sent me a video of roaches fighting. I don't know who won.
It says, I gave gifts, but to people who already have memberships. Let me look.
I'm not a camel.
Let me see. Don't think that's the case. They show up in green when they receive them. So if they receive a gift, they're going to be in green. So they didn't. They may have had memberships before, but they don't right now.
Cat.
And Fit for Life, thank you. You gifted 10 memberships. That was just awesome. That is really, really cool. All right. Need more cowbell. Need more cowbell always, Sean. Love that sketch, by the way. Put a dummy like a mannequin. We have a dummy on there. The dummy is in the cart. It's a crash test dummy, and he's sticking out the back of the cart.
Bring the jury.
We will, once this thumbnail is done, we're going to be adding a special item to the merchandise shop. I think we're going to have this available for a digital download for a very, very low fee. I'm thinking like in the same cost as
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
Same cost as the internet ownership, because that's 50 cents. None of the money comes to me. It actually all goes to YouTube. That's the minimum fee they take for having an item up for sale. So I can't sell anything cheaper than that, or else I'm paying you to take it, which for a digital download I think is a bad idea. Let's see. Can you give a breakdown of the thumbnail? Let me check the time. We're 7 minutes over. I can try. Let's let me download it and we'll put it up full screen. Steph W says, let me put this so you can see this. Can you give a breakdown of the thumbnail when you have a chance? I don't understand all the references. Thank you. You're going to get me in trouble with this, but let me get this set. I have to download it one more time. Let's see, camera 3. There we go. Share, download. This is the 22nd iteration that I'm downloading right now. I'll bring this on over here. Downloads 22 goes there. Okay, so I will keep an eye on court. I'll just let you know that we are keeping an eye on court. The sound is on. When something happens, we will hear it. We're not going to miss that. But in the meantime, we're going to pull this up and I'll explain a little bit about about what is on this screen, and I'll be off the screen for this so you can see. All right. So starting at the top right-hand corner, we have George on the dollar bill. George, he's being pulled on a banner by the medical helicopter, which landed on scene and remained there for most of the time. Also, about the same altitude as the helicopter on the other side of the screen, we have the Spanish flag flying high atop the church. That is to symbolize the Spanish ammo, which apparently has no shaker inside and looks exactly like real ammo, but only the Spanish stuff. We have a broken hammer. Why a broken hammer? Well, they used the hammer to break the gun, and I think that's the hammer should have broken instead. We have that. Underneath, we have a rooster. Tell me why we put the rooster on here again.
The apocalypse may be upon us.
I don't remember why the rooster's on there. I'm having a goldfish moment, and I do not recall. The rooster is standing on the makeshift church. The church has pixels because it's pixelated. The church also has a Red Bull standing in front of it. There's a bag of snow and a log because there was a police log. The bag of snow is referring to the alleged cocaine that was handed off. The log has a TV camera or a movie camera mounted on it. We've got a rattlesnake with rattles because the bullets rattled, and one of the witnesses was a snake. We've got the hatch green chili in front of the cart. On the cart itself, which looks like an ammo cart, but it's made out of wood, we have silver. We have a suit of armor because it's the armorer's cart. We also have a crash test dummy because that's where all the dummy rounds were taken. Right above the crash test dummy, we have a pocket. The pocket is for bullets, apparently. That's where you put bullets. The other side of the church, we've got this little black figurine that looks like a skeleton. That is Alec Baldwin, because it was said that he was not controlling everything on the set because at the time he was plain dead on a horse. Next, behind the horse and a little above, we have a confused cat. The questions have to do with the OSHA witness who does not recall ever having a deposition. The cat and the monkey go together. The monkey is gripping a sign that says Rustmart because Walmart entered the chat, but Walmart would sue us if we put that on there. The cat is holding a stick. It's a pointer stick. It's like a cane, symbolic of the cane that Hannah Gutierrez used, but it was actually made of a shotgun. Behind the cat, we have the directions that point every which way. Why? Because we're lost. The road is symbolic of the long path. The long path back to the juror room, which the jury has to take regularly, and possibly why we're late every single day. And we put up there the outhouse and the tax shelter. The outhouse is the one that Hannah keeps visiting, and the tax shelter is one that the producers kept visiting. The tumbleweed is just symbolic of the fact that we are in New Mexico. This is a desert, and it's quite windy. In front of the tumbleweed is a little chick. Cheap, cheap, cheap. It's cheap because the set was cheap. It was a low-budget film. The Bonanza sign, the great entrance to the Bonanza Creek Ranch. How do we know it's a ranch? Well, there's a bottle of ranch leaning against the side of the sign. On top of the Bonanza Creek sign, we have an owl wearing glasses, the prosecutor's glasses. Looks good. The owl is turning its head all the way around, looking behind it, just like the officer did during the body cam investigation. Crime scene, do not cross. Clearly, it's a crime scene. Don't cross it. We have the chain of evidence dragging itself up. It's actually outside the crime scene as well, because that has some symbolism there. We have a steaming pile of poo, symbolic of the many times that it was referenced in Mr. Kenny's interview. Next to the bottle of ranch, we have the witness protection, or the witness population of 200, actually 199, because one person left and we don't know who it was. They got away before the police interrogated them. We have Miss Pickle running from the scene, even though she ran the show. Management appeared to not care what was going on in some situations. She is wearing Mr. Eisenberg's hat because, yes, Walter White had testified on the stand, or at least his doppelganger, and she has a fanny pack, or a bum bag, as some our friends in Britain call it. Did I miss anything? I think that's everything. I might have got some of the meanings wrong. I did not explain. Wait, did I miss the gorilla? Yes, Vicky, you missed the gorilla. The gorilla and the cat are sort of they look separate, but they're one. They together, with the gorilla gripping the sign, make up what Hannah called her phone. Like my phone refers to me as "Oh Great Master Scott." So when I talk to Siri, it refers to me as "Oh Great Master Scott." I just think that Siri should be subservient to me, and so referencing me with respect is how it should do it. She named her phone something to do with a gorilla and a kitty, and that's all. So that's where we are. We're going to jump back to court here right now because I think we've got a little We got some shaking going on. A whole lot of shaking going on in New Mexico. All right, the trailhead is hidden behind the question marks. It is. The trailhead it's a long brick road. It's more organized than the courtroom. I think it's more organized than Seth Kinney's warehouse, myself. I think it's much neater. I know where everything is and what it stands for. Yes, I missed the coffee. Coffee, because the judge finally allowed coffee in the courtroom. That is on there as well. Let me see. The coffee cup is, on my screen, it's covered by the words program. That's why I missed. It's down just below the cat and the monkey. Nothing else, right? I think that's it. What was the rooster for? Can somebody refresh my memory? I can't remember what the rooster was for. Oh yes, it's fully cocked. The rooster is fully cocked. That's why. Okay, I remember now. And the hammer, and the fully cocked. Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Thank you. Or half cocked, depending on how this goes. Cielo says, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. All right, so we're back in court. We're about to begin. I appreciate you guys joining me. This is honestly, this is so much fun to have you all here as we do this. But the dollar bill, that's where George is. George is on the dollar bill. Rooster also compensates for the kitty. What about the pepper? The pepper is this is a Hatch green chili pepper. Which is basically, if New Mexico had a mascot, this was what it would be. The Hatch green chili is famous from New Mexico. Which, if you like Hatch green chilies, which have amazing heat and amazing flavor, not like scorch your tongue, instant regret, wish you were dead type heat, but just like full flavor with a kick. I do fully support and would encourage you to try the Flatiron Pepper Company that just makes an amazing pepper flake mix with the Hatch green chilies and several other peppers. And I can send you a link if you want that. It is so good. Let's see if I can find it here. I'll send you a quick link. Flatiron Pepper Company. And you want the green one so you don't burn your mouth off. As always, I will say this particular link is an Amazon referral link. If you do click on this link and buy something on Amazon, Amazon thanks me by giving me a small token payment, which usually amounts to very little. I think in a month I might get $25 for everything that's purchased. But unless you guys start buying stuff like crazy, and then that would increase. But there you go. So that's the link right here to the Hatch green chili, or the green pepper flakes, which are so good. Token payment is not enough for a bus token. You are correct, greeners. I'm doing the invisible act. I'm back. I promise I'm here. Bernie Heaven, I love this channel. So much fun. I think a lot of the fun comes from you guys and the incredible wittiness that exists in this group. The comments are so timely and so funny. It's wonderful. Anyway, I was talking about the podcast. We're going to gift memberships this Thursday. We do have a special guest as well. That special guest is a brand new YouTuber, a retired school principal. You say, why would we want to listen to a retired school principal? Well, he's got all the dirt.
I'm not a cat. On
all the stories, and he tells them hilariously. So we're super excited to have him on the show. And really, we're sort of. I'm not sure if he knows, but we're telling everyone to go follow his channel. And if you just need a funny story to listen to, right here, our special guest, Tales from the Principal's Office. All the stories you knew part of, but didn't know the other side. What happened behind the principal's door, and what happened behind the scenes.
Is that correct?
He shares all that. It is great. It's wonderful. So we're looking forward to that on Thursday. Of course, Thomas and I will be here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It should be just a wonderful little show. All right, why are we just standing here? The zombies are coming out to eat your brains. Yes, please take a seat. Oh, my goodness. Original sin. Fresh Hatch chilies to make chili verde. Man.
Bring the jury.
Just a girl breaking says, did I just subscribe? Hey, yes, I did. Love it. Thank you. I appreciate the support. He is, I think he just barely started, and we literally, Thomas just, found him on YouTube at the very, very beginning of his YouTube career. And it was gold. I mean, I think I was like the 7th person to listen to one of his live streams or one of his recordings. And it was hilarious. So good. The counter title, for those that are asking, the ABC in the corner, that is the Alec Baldwin counter. This is the number of times that Alec Baldwin's name is mentioned in court. And it could be mentioned a couple different ways. It could be Alec, it could be Baldwin, it could be Alec Baldwin, or it could be the more formal and less seldom used Alexander Baldwin. Any one of those will qualify for a tick on the counter, and we're up to 403 already, and we're thinking 500 is possible. I think we could get halfway to 1,000 in this one. Lego My Briefs says, I'm all out of Super Chat allowance. Read my PSA. Where's your PSA, Lego My Briefs? I missed it. Let's see. I'm lurking. Hi from Albemarle, North Carolina. How far from Albemarle? I'm not really good with directions. I can tell you, I know I'm at least 2 hours because I'm 2 hours from anything in North Carolina. I'm like 2 hours from Raleigh, 2 hours from the beach, 2 hours from Virginia, 2 hours from anywhere. Greenville, North Carolina. If you know where Mr. Beast lives, that's where I'm at. I don't know where that PSA is. I can't find the PSA anywhere. Can you retype the PSA? Lego My Briefs, if you could retype the PSA, that would be great, and I'll look for it. If you could just copy and paste it again. Don't forget the judge has to walk her doggy 3 times during court. Is this the same court as Dean Cummings? I don't think so. Same state, but I don't think it's the same. Man, now I want to go back and look. The camera angles were definitely different there. Dean Cummings, I think we just had the one camera angle. Collab with Mr. Beast. I've never even seen him in person. My kids have done things for him. They've been on some of his videos, some of his where he gives away like 10,000 turkeys, and my kids are helping loading they're like, there'll be a line 10 miles long, and my kids are like shuttling boxes to people to give away food and stuff like that. But so they've hung out with him, but to me, he's just he's an illusion. Nobody sees him.
Because he's the guy.
The prosecutor was Dean Cummings' lawyer. I don't think it's the same.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
How far are you from Charlotte? Further, much further. Charlotte's even further than Raleigh.
Have them send someone with more experience.
Let's see how. John Davenport, how can I improve the video quality? It says streaming at 144p. Everything is fuzzy. Can you enhance the video? It's going to cost you. If I enhance the video, it's really going to be spendy. Let me do a quick check here. Switch to this feed while I repair this one.
When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
Quality is high. It's as high as we can get it. Switch back to 2. Looks good. The quality is good. If it's low, it's on your end. We're doing the best to send out. I'm pushing 6 megabits per second pretty consistently on the data rate on my sending side, so it should be at least 1080p.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
All right. Deanne B., welcome to the gallery. 6 months. You have a yellow courthouse by your name. That is wonderful. Thank you so much.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Have them send someone with more experience.
See, the first one has the ISO blown out. It looks like. Are you talking about this one? Yeah, it's a little bit bright. This one's much better. It's the best version I've got. The best of.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting.
I don't know who won.
I'm not a cat.
I'm not a cat. All right, we will turn off those sound effects. Those are actually sound effects that
The
are triggered.
zombie apocalypse may be upon us.
Like that one by you guys. The sound bites are hilarious. When court is not in session, you can trigger them by using some of the hidden commands, the secret messages, like this one, ! cat, that triggers the I'm not a cat one. Let's see.
I'm not a camel.
Yes,
Don't
we have
miss the forest for the trees.
We have all those sound effects. You can either memorize them as someone else uses them, or I think the commands command works and gives you a list of some of them. Not all of them end with a voice command or an audio command. Some of them also just have a text response. Still have not started. We're still waiting for the return from lunch.
When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
I like the lunch one.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting.
There's a lawsuit.
I don't know who won.
Have them send someone with more experience.
You guys are having too much fun with those. Okay.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Jill DeJesus, welcome to the gallery. Brand new member. 3 months in, at least. 3+ months, I think, with that green courthouse.
Alex stole it as well.
And Alex stole it. This is the only command that has multiple sound effects tied to it, I think. There are 3 different versions of Alex Stole It that could play. So you could either have, oops, that's not it. You could have this one.
Alex stole it.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
And Alec Murdoch stole it.
Or this one.
Alex stole it as well.
So we've got all 3, and it rotates between the 3. We're coming back from lunch, Renee. They were supposed to start about 25 minutes ago, but we're still here. Once we start, we're going to turn off the sound effects so we can focus on the trial, as we always do, because that's the important part. Let's see.
Because he's the guy.
He's the guy. If you guys were watching Ian Runkle last night, he made the astute observation that the 777 on the boxes of ammunition.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Could be a reference to 777 gunpowder, which is one of the formulations of gunpowder used in reloading. They call it 777, and it is a popular formula of powder for reloading. So that's if I saw somebody had a question on there.
The zombie apocalypse may be upon us.
So that was a great catch by Ian. What one is when the AT&T towers were down?
Somebody just sent me a
That's the
video
zombie
of roaches
apocalypse.
fighting. I don't know who won.
Do we miss anything else on the thumbnail? I don't know if we want to add anything else. I can't think of anything that we've blatantly just missed in our efforts. But what just happened? Oh, I copied the link that I wasn't. I'm like, did something weird. All right. Has Verdict Watch started? I've been working. We're still on the defense's case. We've had a couple witnesses now that have testified, and it's been interesting. It's gotten a little spicy. What would the fishbowl be for, Nina? What in court happens that would need a fishbowl? A green shirt. I don't think that was prominent enough in the trial. The judge just is wearing a green shirt today. Where did the roaches fighting come from? That's from Judge Stephanie Boyd from her courtroom. That's who we were watching this morning, and it was good. It was really good. She gives great advice, and sometimes she just says some funny things. Wait till you hear her ideas on toilet paper usage. It should be like a Charmin commercial. Let me just say, I won't go into it because we just had lunch, but she believes in the MIT method, if you know what that is. Albemarle is 45 minutes east of Charlotte. Okay, so I'm far away from that then. I mean, closer than Charlotte by 45 minutes, but still farther away. Angelique gifted a membership. Thank you, Angelique. What time was it supposed to start back? Almost 30 minutes ago. 28.
I was kicked back.
28 minutes, 45 seconds ago right now. Jane Paul, you click the subscribe button. You didn't know it, but this is you admitting that you're an addict of true crime. It's all right. We all are. Thank you very much. I appreciate you clicking the subscribe button. Just know that once you join us here, you can never leave. It's a one-way door, sort of like Hotel California. Let's see. What if Hannah testifies? We'll need to add a thumb. Oh, well, I'm sure we'll have something to add if she starts talking. You haven't branded the horse with 45.
Bring the jury.
It would be a tiny 45. I don't want to make the horse much bigger. Let's see.
The zombie apocalypse may be
upon us. I did forget about the... Did forget about what the rooster meant. Angie just gifted 5 memberships. I tell you, nobody's going to be in slow mode. Congratulations, Blackbird Squeaks, amongst the recipients there. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ann. That was very generous of you. Sophia Starlin, I love these. Got my first jar of spicy maple bourbon pickles. And I love them. Sophia, I am a huge, huge fan of these pickles. I honestly, I wish Walmart would sponsor me, but not all of Walmart, just the pickles. Just the pickles. But of course they don't. They won't. But I love those pickles. They changed my life. I didn't know a pickle could be that good.
Bring the jury.
Need a can of Colt 45 liquor? I think that's too vague of a reference, and the liquor might give the wrong impression. We haven't had a lot of testimony about alcohol in this one. Phaedra just posted an update. She's one of the witnesses in court. Let me see what she said here. I was just on her Twitter page. Post-lunch in arrest armor trial, attorneys are doing an at-bench voir dire of a proposed defense expert witness, Frank Louis Blair Kauke, who's being offered as an expert on firearm safety and identifying ammunition. Okay, so that's why we're waiting. We've got an at-bench voir dire. So they're asking him what he's going to say. Then the prosecution is obviously going to object, possibly to his credentials, possibly to what he says. Pauline Anna gifted 1 membership. Thank you very much, Pauline. And have I said that your profile picture reminds me of Julie Andrews? So, Lissy, what that means is that everybody's in court and they're actually doing stuff. It's just the judge does not like showing some of these proceedings to everyone else. And so this proceeding, the jury is not present. Everyone who's in court watching is there, and they can listen, but we cannot. But all the lawyers or attorneys, I'm sure Hannah is there, court staff, George is doing his thing. We even have a witness on the stand sworn in to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And they're asking him questions to see what he would say if he was actually testifying in front of the jury. This is voir dire. Once he answers, they probably will have him leave the room. Then they're going to argue with the judge about whether or not this should be allowed or not. The judge will rule on that, and then they're going to bring the jury in, and then they're going to reenact the same thing if they allow it. They're going to bring this witness back in, swear him in, ask him those questions. He'll say the same things, and then we'll move on. Sometimes on voir dire, they're more reserved, and sometimes in the actual testimony, they say a little more, and that's when it gets spicy. Because they're like, hey, he didn't bring this up before, and we would have objected had he said it then. So we'll see if something happens there. So this is why we're late. It's not that the judge is just taking an extra lunch or having second lunch. It's she's getting some work done outside the presence of the jury and outside of our presence. Is there an ammo box with JS on it? Oh. I'm not sure if we have an ammo box on the available options. Let's do a quick check. Your pickles, whole quarters or chips? I've only been able to find them in chips, but I would love to find spicy maple bourbon whole pickles. That would be delicious. Okay. JS. Let me see if I can do an ammo box with JS on it. Just one second. You guys keep watching the wall here for a second while I edit the image, because I think an ammo box has been brought up enough that we can do this. Add a text box. Just says JS.
I'm not a cat.
Not a cat.
I'm not a camel.
And now let Murdoch stole it.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
Hang on, I'm busy. Guys, I'm working here. Give me a second. Ooh, something's happening in court. Here we go. Jay Reno, thank you very much. $24.43. Thank you. 12 months. 12 months of support. There's our witness who was on the stand before. George
Don't miss the forest for the trees.
Sound effects down. Is Camo Guy the shake your head dude? Is that him?
I want to just back up for a brief moment, and I want to go back to any concerns you had about the projectile not matching the gun. I'm not sure that I fully understand what your concerns are in that regard. Would you articulate them for us again?
Yes, I was referring to the concerns that a detective would have upon arriving at scene. You don't have at the time, the results of lab testing. So, and you have nothing guaranteed.
What do you mean nothing guaranteed?
Well, at the time, you had some people saying this is the gun, but you didn't have any evidence, scientific evidence, showed that was the gun, which was later found to be true. I'm just talking about you have so many variables and so many unknowns that you can only use interviews on the scene to confirm and deny things. One person saying this is the gun, that may very well be the gun, but you have to see if someone else can verify that. Later on you're going to have lab results, not at the time. And that's what I was referring to, is at the time, at the scene on October 21st.
So what's your concern then about the investigation that the Sheriff's Department did with regard to the gun? Is your testimony that after Ms. Gutierrez identified the gun to Lieutenant Benavides and handed him the gun, there should have been more follow-up with regard to whether or not that was really the gun?
Whoa.
Is that what you're saying?
Jay Reno.
Yes, because
20. Thank you.
She's not the one that handed the gun to Mr. Baldwin. There are people in between that process. So
continue, sir. I apologize.
All right. Again, pieces of information come out as they're going through both processing the scene and interviewing people. And now we know that there is some time delay between the firearm being loaded, the firearm being on the cart, the firearm making it to Mr. Baldwin inside the church. And that's what I meant by the investigation at the time. A lot of information is coming out over months. Some information has come much later.
But you
Almost
agree
missed that
with
Baldwin
me
reference.
that
404.
Ms. Gutierrez handed Lieutenant Benavides the gun and said, "This is the gun that was being used." And when she said that, she had been identified as the armor on the movie set. You agree with that?
I do.
And you also agree that, not surprisingly, that turned out to be the gun. You agree with that?
Oh, I do, yes.
So, any potential issues with regard to that specific concern of yours didn't turn out to be issues. There's no issue. You agree with that? This is the gun that fired that projectile.
Correct, yes.
Okay. When we left off, there was an objection, and I'm going to go through with you. You were talking about the ammo boxes. I think that was where the objection was. So, as the investigator in this case, have you reviewed all of the body-worn camera footage?
I have. There's a lot.
So have I.
Yes.
I'm sympathetic to the exhausted look on your face. I'm going to show you what has been marked as what is already in evidence as State's Exhibit 192. Sir, have you seen this exhibit?
I have.
You agree with me that this is Lieutenant Benavides is pointing to the box that Ms. Gutierrez identified as the box that she was pulling ammunition from. Do you agree with that?
He is pointing to a box of ammunition, yes.
Are you indicating that you believe that the box here in this picture was not the box that she was pulling ammunition from?
No, I'm not. There were two boxes, and I don't know if it was clearly delineated to him which of the two boxes was where the ammo was drawn from.
Well, you understood that the gun was loaded with dummies, or was supposed to be loaded with dummies at the time of the incident, right?
Right.
And you also understand that this was the only box of dummies on the cart. You understand that, right?
Yes.
The other boxes were blanks, correct?
Correct.
And Ms. Gutierrez said to Lieutenant Benavides, "This is the box I was pulling from," right?
Yes.
You don't think that Ms. Gutierrez meant to say I was pulling from a box of blanks when the gun was loaded with supposed dummies, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. State's Exhibit 62. Have you seen this photo?
I probably have hundreds of photos of white boxes, but I can't specifically say this photo.
Does the box on the left, does that label look familiar to you in your investigation in this case?
It does.
So, based on your investigation, do you have any reason to believe that the box that Ms. Gutierrez pointed out to Lieutenant Benavides is not this box that he took and placed in his unit?
I do not. And I believe that photo is taken in the unit, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I can see the seat.
There's the 777.
State's
That's a
Exhibit
gunpowder
63.
reference.
You understand that this is a photo of that exact same box when it was taken into evidence at the Sheriff's Department, right?
Yes, that's how it's labeled, yes.
I'm not asking how it's labeled. You've reviewed the evidence at the evidence room, right?
Yes.
And you've reviewed all the photographs that were taken on scene.
Yes.
Let me ask you, isn't it true that there was only one box found with this label? Isn't that correct?
That I don't know.
You're the defense investigator on this case, right?
Yes.
Have you seen photographs of a box that looks like this, but is loaded with something other than what this box was loaded with? Sir, do you have any reason to believe that there were two boxes with this label that were taken into evidence?
I do not know.
State's Exhibit 69. Have you seen this photo?
Again, I've seen dozens of photos. So.
Well, you're here to give an opinion about the investigation on this case. Are you not familiar with this photograph?
It's getting spicy.
Specifically, no.
Okay. Did you watch the interview in November that Ms. Gutierrez gave to Detective Hancock?
I did.
And do you recall during that interview, Ms. Gutierrez holds up her phone and says, "This is a picture of our dummies," meaning the dummies that she would bring on the set. Do you recall that?
I do recall that, yes.
Isn't this the photo that she showed? You don't know?
Not at this point, no.
Okay. You weren't watching the testimony of our expert, Mr. Hawks, when he laid the foundation for this and indicated that this photograph was sent from a contact in her phone named Dadkula to her the day before the interview with Detective Hancock. Were you not aware of that?
I was not, no.
What was the phone named again?
So, sir, based on Ms. Gutierrez's statements, would it be her own statements to law enforcement, would it be reasonable for law enforcement to believe that State's Exhibit 62, this box here in the foreground, is indeed the box she was pulling from because she said that? Wouldn't that be reasonable for law enforcement to believe that?
Yes, it would.
She's
and
destroying
you understand
his
that
evidence here.
That box was determined to have a live round.
Yes.
And you agree with me that that box that had the live round matches this photo that was shown to Detective Hancock during the November 9th interview. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Sir, do you still have questions and concerns about how the live rounds got on set?
I do.
You don't think that law enforcement can simply take Ms. Gutierrez's word for it, that this is her box and this is the one she was pulling from and this is the one where live rounds were found?
Yes, but what we don't know is how many times those boxes were unloaded and reloaded. Every time that one of the firearms were loaded with dummy rounds, they came out of a box. They didn't necessarily go back into the same box.
Good point.
Do you agree with me, sir, that there are certain things in homicide investigations that just simply can't be controlled for? You agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Sir, what's the smallest police department you've ever worked for?
Albuquerque PD.
You agree with me that the Albuquerque Police Department is approximately 10 times the size of the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department with regard to the number of commissioned officers?
I am. I think Albuquerque's around 850, and I think Santa Fe's 120, 130, something like that.
Okay. More than 8 times.
Right.
You agree with that math?
I do.
Have you ever worked on a homicide investigation on a movie set?
I have not.
Do you agree with me that normally in homicide investigations, police aren't concerned with where the live ammo came from? This case is unique in that regard, isn't it?
This case is unique from the beginning, yes.
Okay, it is,
Yes.
right? It's unique from the beginning. So police officers, you would agree, are not trained in how to investigate homicides on movie sets where they're not supposed to have live rounds, they're supposed to have fake rounds. Cops aren't trained in that, right?
Specifically, no.
Okay. And you agree with me, don't you, that Lieutenant Benavidez can't just let Ms. Gutierrez walk around the movie set with a firearm that appears to have just shot 2 people. You agree with that?
Oh, I do agree with that with reference to firearm, yes.
Yeah. It was incumbent on Lieutenant Benavidez to remove that firearm from her possession, correct?
From anyone's possession, yes.
And you just take issue with the fact that he didn't put a glove on before he did it.
Basically, yes.
But you agree that the fact that he didn't put a glove on didn't turn out to create any significant evidentiary issues in this case because everybody knew who was holding the gun and everybody knew who shot the gun. You agree with that?
I do.
She's destroying his testimony.
And sir,
the doubt he
you
injected is
also agree
gone.
with me, don't you, that a police officer's first responsibility is to save human lives, not collect evidence?
Correct, as I stated, yes.
And do you recall that Ms. Gutierrez was actually checked by EMTs when she was sitting in the back of Lieutenant Benavidez's patrol unit?
Yes, I did see that.
And you agree that she was allowed to make phone calls?
Yes, she was.
I think you indicated that you talked a little bit about that Detective Hancock sort of took possession of Ms. Gutierrez. Do you recall the statement that you made in that regard?
I do.
So I want to ask you, and one of the examples you gave was that Detective Hancock even accompanied Ms. Gutierrez to the restroom, right?
Yes, she did.
But in watching the body-worn camera footage, isn't it true that Sergeant Christopher Zook tells Detective Hancock, she doesn't want to go to the bathroom alone, will you take her to the bathroom? Ms. Gutierrez actually asks to be accompanied to the bathroom. Do you recall that?
I do.
She didn't ask. The officer says she asked. We don't ever hear Hannah actually ask, I believe.
And do you agree with me that it was Ms. Gutierrez who asked to be placed in Detective Hancock's patrol unit? That wasn't something that the police just unilaterally did with her.
No, she did. She did ask.
Is there a problem with them granting her request that she be accompanied to the bathroom?
No, but I didn't think that included going into the bathroom with her. Can I elaborate?
Sure.
I believe she stated something along the lines of she didn't want to talk to anyone from production. So it was kind of like if she was with Detective Hancock, she wouldn't be approached by any of her coworkers. I think that was her intention of being escorted. But I didn't think it included going into the bathroom itself.
Well, she went into the bathroom and she had her back turned to Ms. Gutierrez. What's the big deal? Ms. Gutierrez asked for an escort.
There's room for one person in there.
Hurt the investigation?
Yeah.
It did not.
Oh, she went into the stall with her. She did.
Now, Ms. Gutierrez stayed on set and she was sitting in a police car with the door open and there was a coworker of hers sitting in there visiting with her. You agree with that?
Yes, I do.
And she had her phone. You agree with that?
Yes.
She was allowed to make phone calls.
Yes.
She was never placed in handcuffs. You agree with that?
Correct.
So what's problematic about that? How was she mistreated by police?
I didn't say she was mistreated. It's every appearance of not being free to leave. I base that on the fact that when Lieutenant Benavides would step away from his vehicle, he would tell a deputy to keep an eye on her. If she's free to leave and she's just sitting in the back of the unit with an open door, she should be allowed to walk away if she wanted to. It gives the impression that she is in custody when you're not free from constant observation from law enforcement.
Well, but isn't it true that she seemed to be having a panic attack, and it was appropriate for Lieutenant Benavides, when he walked away, to ask another officer to keep an eye on her, to make sure she's okay? Isn't that true?
At that time, she appeared fine.
Did she? Is that a yes?
That's a yes.
So, was it your expectation that Mr. Baldwin should have been detained? Do you believe that they should have detained him?
I do.
And do you believe that they should have put him in a police car and taken his phone away?
Not necessarily placed in a police car, but he should have been segregated from the other witnesses, and his phone should have been taken to preserve evidence.
Don't you agree with me that there has to be probable cause that there may be evidence on the phone before the phone can be taken?
But they wouldn't know if there was going to be evidence on the phone without interviewing him. There was no other way to know whether there was evidence on that phone or not. But he was on the phone when law enforcement arrived, so who was he talking to?
Well, did you look at his call logs?
That's after the fact. I'm talking about when deputies arrived at the scene.
Okay, I appreciate that, but what I'm trying to figure out is what about your concerns actually turned out to be real issues with the investigation? What evidence was missing or hidden by Mr. Baldwin? What evidence do you have?
We don't have the full contents of his phone.
Has the defense filed any kind of a motion in this case to try to get the full contents of his phone?
That I don't know.
And you understand, though, that a full extraction of Mr. Baldwin's phone was done in New York, but we were given a limited report. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
And you also understand that originally the same thing happened with Ms. Gutierrez. A limited report was generated from a full extraction, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you agree with me that defense counsel is free to issue subpoenas and file motions to compel and do all of those things in a case if they feel that they're missing evidence?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
So do you think that it would have been appropriate then for law enforcement to take Ms. Gutierrez's phone away from her and not let her make a phone call to her mother?
That can be monitored also. I've seen it done both ways. I've seen them taken away where they're not allowed to make any phone calls, and I've also seen where they've been able to make a call in the presence of law enforcement.
Sir, generally in your experience as a law enforcement officer, do you usually continue to investigate an individual for a crime after you have, let's say for months, after you have been unable to develop a single lead that that person was involved? Do you need me to rephrase that question?
I think I understand your question. You're saying, do you continue an investigation of someone that you have no information?
Yeah, right. You looked, you executed a search warrant, you interviewed the person numerous times, and you just simply don't have any evidence that they were involved. At some point, don't they just not become a suspect anymore?
I don't know if that's the correct phrase. But your investigation is over. You've taken the investigation as far as you can go.
Right. So at some point with Mr. Kinney, they executed a search warrant, they interviewed him numerous times, and they didn't come up with anything. So what do you think they should have done to continue?
At that point, there wasn't much further they could go.
And, sir, are you aware that the FBI will not do DNA testing on rounds, whether they're spent or unspent? Were you aware of that?
I heard about it in this case, but they have done DNA testing on casings, unspent casings.
Well, weren't you present? Were you present for a pretrial interview of the DNA expert in this case?
I was.
And you heard her during the interview state that they won't do this kind of DNA testing, correct?
I did.
All right.
Defense is just leaving him out there to hang. They're not interjecting anything. I mean, he's an expert witness. They're paying him. He should know how to be able to handle cross like this. But he's being destroyed. DA is Carrie Morrissey. She's really good.
And you agree with me, sir, that police officers, when they arrived on scene, they knew immediately who the shooter was?
I think that information arrived shortly after the first deputies arrived, but it was before the lieutenant arrived. There's a little lag there, but not much time at all.
Okay, and Mr. Baldwin didn't leave the scene, did he?
He did not.
Mr. Bowles is there just eating popcorn. He's forgotten that he knows how to object.
You testified on direct examination that there was a person who left the scene that was never identified. Do you recall making that statement?
I did, and that was based on what came out of some of the interviews. I don't quite recall. I think the lieutenant asked if we had everybody. And
what lieutenant are you talking
Lieutenant
about?
Benavides.
Okay.
And one of the deputies responded with one left. And I think he asked who that was, and the deputy didn't know.
But you know, don't you? Because you interviewed him and you asked him. Didn't you interview Reed Russell? And when you interviewed Reed Russell, he told you that he left so that he could go to the hospital to be with his close friends. And before he left, he gave all of his contact information to the police. You interviewed him. Do you recall that?
I did.
Do you need to see a copy of the interview?
I don't.
And you also understand that Mr. Russell, who left the scene to go to the hospital, was interviewed the very next day by Detective Cano. Aren't you aware of that?
I am, yes.
So what's the mystery? Who's the mystery man that left the set? He was identified, right? Correct?
Mr. Russell was identified, but I was never quite clear if it was the same individual.
Even though you asked him and he said, I'm the guy that left the set to go to the hospital?
Yes, but did he know he was the only one who left?
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. I'll pass the witness.
Wow. Mr. Bowles back there reading the fine print on the return policy for their expert witness.
Mr. Elliott, you're aware from all your experience in law enforcement.
Someone just talked to Camel Guy.
It is the government's burden to prove in any criminal case, correct? And that burden never shifts to the defendant.
That's correct, yes.
So when you were asked earlier about why the defense didn't file motions and do subpoenas, isn't that law enforcement and the government's job to prove their case?
Objection.
Somebody came up and talked to Mr. Camel Guy. Don't know who that was. Said something and shook his head. But Camel Guy is still there. I think we're more interested in the Camel Guy than... Ooh, and a new bailiff. New bailiff walking through the courtroom. Quit shaking your head, camel guy. You think that's what was said? Ooh, bailiff with gloves. Lots of bailiffs around. I would say the camo jacket seems to be a strange attire, especially in the media world. Media in court generally present a professional appearance, or that's how they're supposed to present themselves.
Mr. Elliott, do you recall that question?
I do.
Okay, and is it always the government's burden to prove their case, to prove in a criminal case?
It is.
Okay. Now, if law enforcement doesn't timely and appropriately obtain evidence, does that sometimes impact an entire investigation?
It can.
For example, in your experience as a homicide detective and working in civilian and military law enforcement, if you delay a search warrant for a month, can that materially impact a case?
It can.
And in your experience, have you seen times when there's been that kind of delay where evidence goes missing?
I have.
You talked earlier about the FBI and other cases you had been aware of where they had obtained DNA. You did not expand on that. Have you been aware of other cases in which the FBI has searched for DNA on casings?
The Las Vegas shooting.
So based on that answer, is it your understanding they do have the capacity, the ability to do that?
They do have the ability, yes.
Earlier you were asked a series of questions about, I'm going to categorize them as no harm, no foul. In other words, we know in hindsight now that certain things didn't happen. But in any case, homicide investigation, would you always want to start out assuming that anything can go wrong and to properly preserve that evidence?
Yes, of course.
For example, with regard to the firearm, when you testified about Lieutenant Benavides touching that firearm, would there be scenarios, not like it played out here, but where somebody else turned out to be the shooter, for example, and that firearm, it was important to know the fingerprints?
Well, of course. This investigation started with a 911 call. They are not always accurate.
And so I guess my question to you is, in your experience, in your training, and 13 years as homicide, were you taught and trained to preserve evidence and to take those appropriate steps in every single case?
Head shake.
Yes.
We were asked earlier a series of questions about Ms. Gutierrez Reed and whether she was there voluntarily or the appearance of being detained. Did the sheriffs drive Ms. Gutierrez Reed to the sheriff's office?
Yes, they did.
Did they drive Mr. Baldwin to the sheriff's office?
No, he drove himself and followed a deputy.
Okay. From the time that Ms. Gutierrez Reed was in the vehicle on the set to the time of the interview, did you ever notice any period of time when she was not in law enforcement presence?
I did not.
With regard to the questions about items and boxes on the prop card that you were asked, the 2 boxes, is it clear to you from reading the reports, everything that you reviewed in this case, what items Sarah and the other 2 individuals may have removed from the prop card and taken to the prop truck?
No, it is not clear to me.
And based on your entire review of the whole case, has there ever been any follow-up or any information you've received that would have clarified that, what they took from the prop card?
No, a vague couple long guns. I think 2 revolvers, they do know who they came from. And other items that I don't know of.
One last question. If law enforcement delays, if they do not conduct a full investigation, it's possible for the defense to lose out on evidence that may have been exculpatory?
Yes, there is.
I have no further questions.
You're excused. Thank you. Next witness.
What's left of that witness will gather itself together and shuffle out of the courtroom. I think you guys are right. It does say attorneys on the bench that that gentleman is sitting on, Camel Guy's sitting on, so he might either be with the defense in some way, either family or relative, not a reporter. It's a bold tie. Ooh. He's got the Fiji water. None of this Aquafina stuff the other people have been drinking. He must have included that in his writer.
Do you swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, have a seat talking to the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, sir, good afternoon. Can you please tell the jury your name again?
Frank Lewis Blair Kuski III.
Where do you currently reside?
Carmel Valley, California.
And what do you do for a living, sir?
I'm managing director of Blair Financial Group, money managers.
I want you, outside of your management and Blair Financial, to tell the jury about your experience with period firearms.
Yes.
He's
prior
looking at
to,
something.
let me check a note to make sure dates are correct. I took part in my first movies in this, which were done with...
There's the objection.
And I'm not talking about the movies.
I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah, let me just try to center my question.
She needs to be able to see the notes.
Okay.
They need to take those notes from him. If he brought something out to refresh his memory or to help him out, she gets to look at all those. And so those are going to be turned over here in just a minute. She gets to take a quick peek. I'm not sure what what is it, Frank? Who got this? I've got it as, I took it down as Frank Lewis Blair Kuski III. Not sure what he's wearing. It looks like he's got like a mini bandolier. He's got like a leather strap across his chest. Pretty sure he didn't come to court strapped, but yeah, interesting. Here comes a holster. What does he have strapped across him? I'm not sure. He's a finance guy. He's a money dude.
Okay, Mr. Kuski, if I can just direct that a little more. I want to go just give the jury an overview of your experience with firearms. And not necessarily getting into movies yet, but your experience with firearms and period firearms and how you obtained that familiarity.
Do you wish for the long explanation or the short?
No, the short.
Short, because we pay by the hour.
Short's always better.
My father was a combat MP in the Second World War. I was shooting almost from birth. I was sent to rifle camp in Butte, Montana at age 6, which is hard to imagine. I grew up around a hunting family. My grandfather was a big-time hunter. I grew up hunting deer and pheasants with my uncle in the forests of Ohio. I had Ohio and Indiana and Pennsylvania hunting licenses ever since they were required. I was a member, I was a Boy Scout Riflery Merit Badge winner. I worked, was a member of the Kenyon College of Rifle Team. Following graduation from Kenyon College, I took up firearms in a very serious way, beginning collecting and shooting. I was trained by Louis Tenenbaum, essentially right out of college, who was a member of the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit, who thought I was worth taking his time with that. I appeared in a number of little television shorts and things like that through that time period. And when I really got going on primitive firearms, and I won't even talk about self-defensive guns at this point, I was trained in combat guns. I first appeared in the George Washington television miniseries in 1984, and I was assigned my role as a surveyor in the wilderness, and of course I had my first real flintlock in my hands at that time. I, during the earlier times, had shot a lot of primitive weapons, primarily flintlocks, black powder stuff. I was very interested in that. After that, I got going and I joined a group called the 1st American Regiment in 1985, which was the premier late 18th century, early 19th century reenactors for military reenactment. And during this time, and I believe you have a nice picture of me firing cannons, I became a sergeant of artillery doing reenactment big time. And in that capacity, I appeared in lots of movies. I fired artillery. This is 18th century artillery. I fired at the 1812 Overture with Cincinnati Symphony in various performances in big stadiums and things.
I'm sorry.
I
played the cannon in the orchestra, is what he just said.
I also answered
played the
questions
cannon
for
in the
NBC
orchestra.
Nightline fairly routinely on weapons identification because, of course, I'm fairly good expert in Russian weapons and one of the largest collectors in the United States. I took part with 1st American Regiment in many, many, many different film productions, television productions, that sort of thing, which were done by PBS and I believe the History Movies programs. They sold the rights to us, charging with bayonets to all kinds of ad agencies.
Okay, let me stop you for a second because there's a lot of information. And,
well, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But I want to ask you, in the course of that, and you've had a whole lifetime, is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
Of gun. Have you been a collector also of period type weapons?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Are you familiar with the revolver in this case, the 45 long Colt?
Absolutely.
Did you bring with you today that revolver? Not that revolver, but a revolver just like that revolver?
Yes, we would call it a sister. It is made by Pieta, the same exact company. It was nearly sequential serial numbers. It is absolutely identical. Any part would interchange, and it will look exactly like the Baldwin gun.
Did you also bring a replica gun with you?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell the jury just, first of all, what that is?
This is a Denex replica. Denex is a company in Spain that makes replicas of anything from shotguns to antique weapons to swords, things like that. They're used by reenactors. They're used in movies. There was a Denex revolver on the set of Rust that was used as one of the dummy guns. There were, in fact, 10 non-firing replica guns on the set that looked like this. So it can't shoot, but it looks like it. It functions. It cocks. The cylinder turns, and from 5 feet away, you couldn't tell unless you really looked.
Okay, sir. Let me, if I can...
You're going to have to cut off every single answer he gives.
Ask at this time, Your Honor, if I could tender him as an expert in the categories I previously did.
Well, why don't you state them on the record again?
I was making sure I had the exact wording. Is that okay if you wrote those down? Because I don't want to change it. Well, I'll just say it again. It's firearm identification, firearm functioning, reloading of ammunition, and identification of ammunition, of dummy rounds and live rounds.
Okay.
Any objection?
Wow, long name, long expert list.
No objection within the confines of what we discussed at the bench.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I understand. So, sir,
that's what the voir dire was for.
I'm sorry.
For these specific areas, subject to the ruling up at the bench. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who rung the bell?
Sir, if you will, if you could, however the deputy handles this, but if you could retrieve the firearms from behind you.
So.
Do it in public, and I will clarify that it is not loaded. Okay? The first is a real...
Mr. Kuski, are you able to take the cylinder out so you can show everyone also that it's unloaded?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
There's something important. And here...
We got a hammer.
Revolver.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to object.
All right, first of all,
okay.
Everybody's nervous.
Everybody's nervous.
You have not demonstrated to us that they are unloaded. So before you start showing us the weapons, make sure they're unloaded, including that one that you just touched.
Ian, good luck. No, why'd she? We mic'd off because she approached. They approached, so he's gonna flip. Whoa! Don't point at the judge! Don't point at the judge! Whoa! Prosecutor's like, jury, you getting this? Jury, do you see what just happened? Let's let the judge get a quick glance down the barrel since it's apparently going to be pointed at her at some point. Let's check that as well. Oh man, you guys, it gets worse and worse. Okay, this guy, you gonna point that one at the judge too, because the bailiff is all over you if he is. Okay, half cock. He struggled with the half cock position. Did he see that? There's two firearms. And here we have a, he's talking. We can't hear him because we've still got attorneys up at the bench. He's got a coat hanger. Is the objection over? Oh my goodness. Oh, good. We get this view. Nice. You got the Denix and you've got the Pieta. And what is that? Shooting magazine? What's that manual he's got next to him? He's got like a Gun Lovers magazine or something set up right there. And shout out to Kleenex as well. Kleenex is represented. Oh, wow. Yeah, let's closer. Zoom in. Let's compare the serial numbers. I know you've got a 30 power zoom on that. You can get a lot closer. Ian needs to take some medication before tonight, or self-medicate or something. It's gonna be crazy. Okay, so yeah, credibility. Right when he pointed the firearm at the judge, after she said, "Please check it to make sure it's not loaded," and then he pointed it at her. Oops, big oops. This guy, he gets up on stand, and in his credentials, he basically says, "Look, I was born with a matched pair of pearl-gripped Colt 45s in my hand. The doctor wanted to cut the umbilical cord. I said I just blasted it off with one shot." Okay, and he's like, "Since then, I've been shooting everywhere I go. I was Davy Crockett in a former life. Let's see what else. I fought in the Battle of 1812. I played the canon, the 1812 overture, in the orchestra. I've fired that. I know Russian guns, everything else. This guy, I think he lives and breathes gunpowder smoke. It's in his blood. I'm not sure if he lives and breathes safety.
Okay, Mr. Casey, I want to make sure that first of all, the Denix is the replica that's non-firing. That is obviously clear. It cannot fire, correct?
Yes, I wish to demonstrate.
Okay, but let me lead the questions.
Sure.
Let me lead with my questions.
You cleared with the deputy, but I want you to be able to take that cylinder out so we can show everyone it's clear. Is that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Gun's pointed in a safe direction.
Not at the judge. If he drops this, it's going to be bingo.
We'll get this pin out. The cylinder is retained. Cylinder is retained by a pin. Once that pin is removed, the gun may be put in a partially cocked position. The cylinder may be pushed out, and again the barrel's safe. You can look right straight through it. Sir, would you take that and show them all it's empty? Is that acceptable?
It's up to the court.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
No, the deputy's not involved in this.
Okay.
The deputy's not your show and tell aid.
So
it is empty.
Deputy Vanna White
demonstrated it's empty.
Okay.
May I return it to the firearm?
Oh, wow. I'd get a third opinion, says Heather. Can we just get one more set of eyes on this? The jury's asking right now if they get hazard pay. Oh, if he can't assemble this, then he loses all expert credibility.
Okay, sir. Now, the first thing I want to ask you, comparing the Denix, the replica, to the Pieta, do they share some of the same characteristics?
Yes, they do.
And can you tell the jury, is the Denix made to look like the Pieta?
Absolutely.
And side by side, if you can Your Honor, may he step down to show the jury?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to know what he has under his coat. Is it printing? Guys, is that a holster?
Sir, if you can show them the Pieta and the Denex side by side, just so they can see.
This is a Denex.
That deputy's not letting him out of his sight.
It is a replica, totally unfiring with a block barrel.
Arm's length is the max distance.
Like a regular revolver, the cylinder turns, it will cock, it will snap and fire. It's unable to fire any ammunition. It's used as a replica, it's made of metal, and it functions just like a single-action Army Colt, but it can't fire. I'll bring the next one, and then we'll compare them. The next gun, in the safe position, this is a Pieta revolver. This is the sister gun to the Baldwin gun. It's a .45 caliber single-action 1873 revolver, like was issued to Custer's troops. It is a true .45 long Colt. We call it just Colt. And it was designed for the U.S. Army to be able to kill a man and a horse. And it was the most popular firearm in Western movies.
Thank you, Mr. Kuski. If you could.
Now may I show the two together?
Yes, if you will just show what, but not without.
Can the deputy
but just showing them?
Just pre-draw the taser, Mr. Deputy, and we'll all be good. Don't let those white gloves fool you. He can take you down. A man and a horse with one round. Yeah, that's probably not the best example to use in this particular case. Always a good time watching our chat. Jennifer, thank you. Oh my goodness. And Mandy Strong, yes, this is going. That is going to go downhill.
In your view as an expert in this case, are you aware whether there was a Denex revolver like that on set on Rust?
Yes, there is. It was covered in the invoices as rented by Rust Management.
Now, not demonstrating at this point, but can you tell the jury, based on what you just showed them on the Pieta, how you safely decock that firearm when you get it cocked?
You wish me to pick up the gun and show how it is decocked? I would prefer first showing on a Denex to them and then on a live
just
one.
show.
Okay, prosecution wants this shut down fast. The funny thing about this is the prosecutor was the defense attorney for Dean Cummings. This is a trial we followed right after, I think it was right after Darrell Brooks. But in that case, the defendant, her client, was handed an AR-style rifle and told to reenact what happened the day of the shooting. And the defendant ends up racking the rifle, I believe breaking the zip tie which holds the chamber open, and he's pointing it at the prosecutor in that case, and it just reenacting this whole thing. It was hilarious, and that's the point where the judge in that case stepped in and said, "Wait, can we just make sure that's not loaded?" So the irony of the situation flipping is hilarious for me.
If you will, using the Denex, the replica, demonstrate that the cocking and proper decocking of that weapon.
Yes. This is one of the primary things that an individual must be trained in to safely cock and decock a Colt revolver or a replica. Now first, the finger has to stay off of the trigger and outside of the trigger guard, no matter what. That's the essential rule of safety. The firearm is cocked with your thumb.
He's going to dry fire.
Finger's still outside of the trigger. No one touches any trigger. This is now a gun capable of being fired. Now, the first thing I do here is put my thumb on top of it. If I'm not real strong, I put two thumbs on. Notice my finger is still completely off the trigger. I then slowly, gently pull the trigger and lower the hammer onto the cartridge. I then back it up to its safe position. Now I will demonstrate the same thing exactly with a real Pieta revolver.
General Custer died in 1876, but this witness heard his last words.
Off the trigger. You can see, this is where it has to stay. If your finger's in there, you can't decock safely. Now, again, we cock 1, 2, 3, 4. C-O-L-T, it clicks. This is a cocked ready to fire a revolver if it were loaded. My finger must stay out of the trigger guard and on the side. Now, I put my finger in, but I don't put it in until I put my thumb here. Even putting it in before, like that, would cause it to fire perhaps. Now, I'm holding the hammer back. I can feel the spring. Everything's safe. Now my finger goes on the trigger, pulls the trigger, slowly lowers to a safe position without snapping, and then pulls back to the safety notch, which removes the firing pin from the cartridge. Notice my finger's out of there again, not that the gun is cocked. And that's the
Why was I holding my breath?
A guy doing this experience can do it with his thumb, because this is all knurled here, so it can't slip. Fingers out of there. I decock safely.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for
I think you should have done a twirl
and I wanted to ask you
and then
with
stuck
regard
it
to that
in this holster.
operation. In this particular case, we're dealing with a movie set, obviously.
Yes.
Do the general rules of firearm safety, including the demonstration you just did, do they apply equally on movie sets?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, in your work as an expert in this case, reviewing all the information, did you agree with Mr. Haig's conclusion regarding violation of some of those safety rules?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now I want to ask you, I want to switch topics. I want to ask you about reloading. There's been some testimony about an inertia puller.
Yes.
And if you could tell the jury what an inertia puller is.
An inertia puller is basically a type of hammer that pulls bullets out of loaded cartridges when you have a misfire or you wish to disassemble old ammo. Basically, it has a plastic head about this big. It has a handle on it like a hammer. They cost about $12. You put the cartridge, which could be any kind of cartridge, old dead cartridges, whatever you got, and you put it in, clamp it down with a little device, close the thing up. There'll be an empty space underneath, and there'll be a ring here holding the cartridge in metal, and you bang it on a table, and the bullet is pulled out. The bullet, remember, is the lead part, not the case. And the bullet will fall out. If there's powder, that will fall out as well. You then get a bullet, ka-ching. You have powder, which you can pour out, and you have a case, which may or may not be live primed, or, maybe a good primer, maybe a rechargeable case, maybe anything that happens to be there.
Okay, so Mr. Kuski, if you wanted to reload a round, let's say you want to convert a dummy round to a live round, what are the steps in the reloading process?
Well, this is really extremely technically difficult. And the way it begins is you have to have, suppose it is a dummy. This is a beat up old piece of old brass that happens to have a dummy bullet in it. It has a dead primer in it. So what you start is you pop out the bullet. You see there's no powder. Now you turn over the case, put the bullet aside. The case is filthy. The case is all grody and nasty from sitting around. It has to go in a machine called a tumbler. Every reloader worth his salt has a tumbler. It's about this big. Sometimes it's a ball, sometimes it's a drum. It's filled with generally powdered walnut, and it's got a motor, and it spins and spins and spins as a polishing machine. And at the end of that time, you come out with brass that looks somewhat better than it started because it's knocked off some of the crud. You then wipe that down smooth. You then have to have a tool which is called a reloading press. I have a photograph, if you wish to see, of a reloading press. Would that be acceptable?
We can actually, if you can.
Well, let's go finish. You then have a reloading press. The reloading press, as one of its functions, is to get that old dead primer out. Remember, the primer's in the little hole in the bottom of the brass you're holding. This press has a big lever. It has a special pin designed for that cartridge to remove the primer, because if it went the other direction, you'd bang the cartridge up. But there's one more tool you must have, and that's called a shell carrier or a little shell holder. And that's sized exactly for the diameter of the rim of the cartridge you're going to take apart. So 45 couldn't take a 380 or something like that. Has to be a 45. Slide in that so it holds it completely solid. Put this in your press. line it up over the top and pull. And when you pull, that pin will drive out the primer. It changes. Now you've got a case with no primer in it. It's shined up as best as your material can do. Now we get to the good part. You have to put a new primer in. First, you have to have a new primer, and they're very, very hard to get in much of the markets because they've been just grabbed up. So you take this tiny little primer, you put it in a tool called a priming tool. This may be part of your press, or it may be an independent machine. And this will hold the primer safely. Again, it has to be for your cartridge. You have to put that little shell holder in. You put the shell, which is empty, the empty case, slide it into the holder, pull the lever, and the primer, which is quite explosive, is pressed carefully flat up into the exact right position. And if you didn't have the shell holder and all the right gear, you couldn't do it. The primer would blow up the minute it was hit, but it's safe this way. Now you've got a case, and that case is certain to get to be a live case. And it would be called a live case. It has a live primer, nice shiny case. You then put that in your press and go to the next stage. I have the press. You stick it in that ever-present shell holder again. It holds it perfectly, immaculately straight. You then have on your press something called a sizing die. And a sizing die costs about $55, fits in presses. You adjust that properly, which takes some skill, and you pull. The sizing die goes right over the top of the case and makes it the right size, because an old dummy isn't the right size. It'd jam up in your gun, wouldn't take a bullet, piece of junk. Once it's sized, there's a little ball inside, pulls it up, and that very neatly expands the top of the case. And without that expansion, you can't put a new bullet in. So now we've got a nice expanded case with a nice live primer in it. Looks pretty darn good. It's all sized to the right size. The mouth is expanded. Now you got to have a powder measure, and you have to have the right powder. You can't just use any old gunpowder. There are literally dozens and dozens. It has to be the acceptable powder for a .45 load and measured. You get too much, you blow up. Literally, blow up the gun, blow up in your face, and everybody knows about that. Put too little in, you get something called a squib, where it pushes the bullet into the barrel where it sticks. That's what killed Brandon Lee, was a stuck bullet. And now you've got the right amount of powder. Now to measure that powder, you need either a powder scoop of the right size, and they make dozens, so you'd say, okay, I want one for that powder, for that round. And you scoop it out. That's pretty fast. That's the old way. The new way is something like what I have, and these are computer-driven, perfect measures that will get within 1 grain of powder. And they're computer-driven trickle chargers. They cost about $300. They're real fancy. Put in the powder, put in the exact grains of weight that you want that powder to be, press the button, and a little tiny tray fills up, and you dump it into the cartridge through a little funnel. Now you've got powder, you got primer, you got a good case. You take your bullet and you put it on the top. But you need one more tool for your press, and that is a die that fits that bullet. And so you put in the die, everything's sitting there, you pull the big lever and puts pressure straight exactly down to push the bullet in exactly as deep as you want it to go. And after it's in there, the die that you've purchased, which is another expensive toy, presses on the outside of the case and puts what's called a crimp on it. And that case now has the bullet seated on top of the powder, the exact correct depth, which you know through measurements and books, and it squeezed real tight. Otherwise, the bullet would just fall out. Or the first time you fired the gun, the bullet would just flop out on the other cartridges. It must be crimped tight.
I'd like to congratulate you all. You've all just become armorers. You just completed all the training needed.
And I appreciate that complete explanation, because would you agree that it's not sufficient to just have an inertia puller to accomplish all those steps? Okay.
It's useless.
Okay. And with all of that required for reloading, you've described the components of a live bullet. Are you also in agreement with the FBI that you cannot tell a live round from a dummy?
Yes.
With a picture?
In a picture, absolutely not.
Did you, I know in the course of your expert work, you were able to watch portions of the trial and pay attention. Did you see in any of the videos or any of the pictures any of this type of reloading equipment you've been talking about?
Well, I believe in Seth has a tumbler, I think I saw in the back, which is what you polish up brass with for reloading. I saw...
National Foundation.
Objection Foundation.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, just I'm having an issue with my shoe. Pardon me.
Her shoe? She had her shoes off. Okay, I'm taking the a little creative liberties here, and for those who are a little confused about this witness's intro, I'm rewriting it to make it a little more clear. It's going to take it's a work in progress. I'm not ready to share it yet, but at some point before this trial is over, I will. It might be clip worthy, but this witness is incredible. He's just sitting there grinning at the jury, who are still huddled behind each other, behind the juror foreman, who they're using as a shield. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is good. Yes, Ian Runkle is alive and well. At least, well, I'll say this: he's alive, and he's listening to this, and is not well. He is not well. This will be in a topic of discussion tonight for sure.
Sir, let me ask you on a different topic with regard to the dangers of intermixing live and dummy ammunition. Can you tell the jury if those are stored in the same place, or is that potentially dangerous?
And I will object if we can approach, please.
Mr. Bowles. Mr. Bowles. I will give him this. He has the patience of a saint on these objections. He has not shown exasperation nearly to the extent that I would expect an attorney to have in this case. Oh, good fun. Witness is still grinning. Wow. What does the witness have? Why has he got a leather strap across his chest? What is under that suit coat? Don't tell me it's a calculator. This guy hasn't done math in a long time, I think. I mean, well, he counted to 4 on the stand.
Mr. Kuski, do you regularly, as a gun collector, gun owner, everything, do you regularly have interaction with different types of ammunition?
Yes, I do.
And does that include live ammunition and dummy ammunition?
Yes, it does.
And do you, with regard to the dummy ammunition, do you teach individuals proper gun safety?
Absolutely. I'm an NRA certified pistol instructor.
And as part of that, do you sometimes use dummy rounds in your teaching with them?
Yes, I do.
In that capacity, have you become familiar with various types of dummy ammunition?
Yes, I do.
And are you familiar with various types of live ammunition?
Yes, I am.
Do you store live ammunition, or do you have a place to store live ammunition yourself?
Yes, I do.
And do you have a place to store dummy ammunition yourself?
Yes, I do.
Are you familiar with whether there are any dangers of storing those together?
Absolutely.
And why would that be?
There are two sides of the danger. One easy to see, and that is if a live round somehow found its way in with look-alike dummy ammunition, you would have a very severe chance of having somebody getting killed. Now the flip side is perhaps equally dangerous, though less visible. If I'm hunting Russian wild boar, which I hunt with a handgun in California, and I go to shoot at a Russian wild boar that weighs 325 pounds and it's coming right at me, and the gun goes click because I substituted a dummy, I will be the dead one. So yes, both sides are bad.
Absolutely. And with regard to your storage of ammunition, is it important to have an inventory system?
Yes, I have an inventory system for all my ammunition, all my powder, all of my reloading, which goes into dozens of different kinds of rounds.
And in the course of your reloading, did you become aware that in 2021 timeframe, was it difficult to purchase primers?
Yes, we called the great ammo shortage, and there was, for a variety of reasons, a huge run on ammunition.
It's like the Great Depression.
Get primers to reload, you know, they just didn't happen. You couldn't get them. You go to the store, couldn't get them. You couldn't get even 9mm ammo. You couldn't get almost anything. The store shelves were emptied out. People were hoarding powder. Even my long-range rifle stuff, I couldn't get powder. So yes, that was called the Great Ammo Shortage, and to a certain extent, it still goes on.
Now, during your course as an expert in this case, you heard Mr. Haig's testimony. Do you agree with his conclusion that the live rounds found on set were reloads?
Yeah, well, hand loads. A reload means that it's an old case reloaded. He was very...
Objection. What's the French?
Oh, Camo shakes the head a little bit again. He's back. I'm still writing, you guys. We're trying to. There's so much that can be in here. Oh, you guys remember the great ammo shortage, though, right? Primers were like worth their weight in gold. It was hard to even find a pallet of powder. The great shortage, so great we're only hearing about it now. I will tell you, the price went up. He's not kidding. There was a time period when, and I would say we're still feeling the effects of it to some degree on the pricing, that ammunition itself became very expensive. It as a young adult, where I regularly participated in shooting a target practice like 22 long rifle rounds. I initially remember them being 99 cents for a box of 50. And now they're like $6 for $1.
Is it your opinion that from your viewing them, that the live rounds on set were reloads or hand loads?
Yes, it is.
And would you explain what you saw, the quality, were they lower quality in your opinion?
Lower quality than what?
In terms of like a store-bought round from a major manufacturer or something like that, or do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I believe they were less consistent than that of a major manufacturer. Meaning, and I can expound on that if you wish.
Yes.
Okay. When you get...
I'm going to object again to Liz' approach.
Come on down. The price is right. Mr. Bowles, you only have to walk half the distance. Okay, at least she's doing double the work on the walking for these objections. You're right up next to the judge's bench. 2 hours later. All right, I'm putting together some of this. Man, this intro, it's going to be great. I wish I could introduce him as a public speaker, and I would use this. Okay, we clearly. I'm looking here. We need to include references to James Bond. I've already got Daniel Boone referenced, Annie Oakley. Okay, we've got the hunting references. We've got Sam Colt in there. We need Clint Eastwood.
Okay, Mr. Kuski, so your opinion is that these are hand loads?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you understand also as an expert in reviewing the information in this case, there are a variety of different types of dummy rounds on set? There were a variety?
Yes.
Okay. And did that include some that rattled, some that did not rattle, and some with a hole in the side?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also review evidence in this case of Mr. Baldwin not only being dangerous at the time of the actual tragic shooting, but dangerous at other times on set?
Objection.
Mr. Bowles just hangs out there. He's like, I give up. I pass the witness. He's like, Your Honor, I object to the objections. I've given up. I'm not even following what's going on there. Mr. Camel Guy is eating his fingernails. The witness is still grinning sheepishly at the jury. The judge. What restrictions is she putting on Mr. Bowles that Carrie Morrissey, the DA, says he's not staying within? He can't even get the question out.
Okay, sir, my full question was going to be...
We live here now, guys.
Did you see evidence that Mr. Baldwin was not safe with firearms after there was a yell of cut in a particular scene and he shot a blank after that scene?
Yes, I feel that's unsafe.
One further question. Are you familiar with the period weapon called a Henry rifle?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar whether if that is loaded or unloaded at the bottom of that rifle, whether somebody could see whether there was rounds at the bottom of it if they're just looking?
Yes, a Henry, may I go into detail? A Henry rifle is a predecessor to the Winchester. Mr. Henry actually invented the Winchester. It is a rifle with a very long barrel, doesn't have a handguard under, which was a problem. It's loaded from the top in a kind of a weird way, and the ammunition, the cartridges are dropped into a long tube where a spring pushes them down. One of the biggest disadvantages, and this was in the Civil War, is it has a long
which I
open
remember
side
clearly
on the beneath the barrel where you can actually look in and see all the loaded cartridges. Now, they thought that was a really good deal until they got in the mud of the trenches and the cartridges were all jammed. Right now, if you look at a Henry, anybody who knows anything about Henrys looks at that Henry and says the whole side's open and you can see ammunition in there, dummies, whatever. And if you don't have that, they're going to be laughing because it looks like an empty rifle.
Finally, sir, the last question I want to ask you, with regard to, there was some criticism in the trial, one point of Miss Gutierrez Reed holding a shotgun with it pointed in front of her. And is there, do you have an opinion on that with regard to, for example, military drill?
Yes, I do.
Objection.
Oh, yeah. You knew we weren't going to be done with this witness without one more objection. All right. Man, this is good. This is good. Okay, so we've got the Civil War referenced. I need to make one more reference to the NRA, which is going to be in here as well. That was a quick one.
So I'm a, yet another objection, withdraw that question. And that's all the questions I have.
I give up. That was it. White flag. Mr. Bowles waving the white flag. Hannah says, wait, ask about this one. He's like, I tried. I asked all the questions.
Mr. Kuski. Do you agree with me that basic gun safety requires that the handler of the gun not point the gun at anyone?
If it's a real gun, yes.
Like you did with the judge.
Do you agree with me that while you were sitting here in the courtroom, you pulled out a gun and you pointed it at the judge?
I do not.
You disagree?
I pointed the gun into this space up here, never directly at the judge.
I'd like to call the bailiff as a
basic
witness.
gun safety requires that you keep the muzzle of the gun pointed down for safety?
Not at all. A gun may be pointed, as any hunter education class like I taught, may be pointed up, may be pointed back, may be pointed cross arms, as in the military, may be pointed at the ground, may be put in something like a military stance, such as order arms with the butt on the ground and the piece right under your arm. So, no. And to further, in a cross draw or any of the...
No, I'm not talking about a cross draw, thank you. Do you agree that when you pulled that firearm out and pointed it in the direction of the judge, the deputy standing next to you had to intervene and grab the gun and point it down?
I want to object.
The jury saw this. It was right in front of them. Okay, it was right in front of them. Yes, we agree that that's what happened. That's what happened. The deputy, we would be able to fingerprint the gun, but yes, he was wearing white gloves like the auctioneers do. This is gold. This is just, oh man. Any other references I need in his newly revised bio, his CV. What reference do we need? What epic firearm? Ooh, George Washington would be a good one. Let me put this in there. I was thinking Paul Revere. Is Paul Revere? He just wrote, but maybe we'll reference him anyway, just for.
Mr. Kuski, have you ever been qualified as an expert in firearms safety in a court of law?
No.
Have you ever worked on criminal cases before?
Yes, I have.
Have all of the cases that the criminal cases that you've worked on, has Mr. Bowles been the attorney in all of them?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No.
Uh-oh. That's her receipt machine.
Give me a moment, please.
This is her receipt machine. Mr. Bowles is biting his lip. Mr. Bowles knows something the witness does not remember. We're going to hear the dot matrix printer start to print off receipts here in just a second. And you're going to see full use of the glasses as this is prepared. Is it true, Mr. Witness? Isn't it true?
Let me clarify my question. Have you worked on criminal cases related to the securities industry?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Other than, and you're an investment banker, correct?
Not exactly, but sufficient name for it.
Okay. And other than working on criminal cases having to do with securities, do you agree with me that the only other types of criminal cases you've worked on have all involved Mr. Bowles?
I do not.
Isn't it true, sir, that you provided a pretrial interview in this case on November 29th, 2023?
Yes.
And isn't it true that during that interview, my investigator, Mr. Rice, asked you, is Mr. Bowles the only attorney that you've worked with? And your response was, outside of the securities industry in the past, yes.
Yes, and I have worked since then, and I have worked prior to that confidentially with cases before the United States Navy and other cases which were criminal, and I believed you were speaking only of what's going on here. If you'd like to hear the other ones, I'm very happy to tell you. I worked, for example, with the Monterey Sheriffs.
Is there a question?
No, there isn't. There is not a question on the table right now.
That one backfired a little bit. He was able to explain it properly.
You gave a lengthy description about how a person could turn a dummy round into a live round. You recall the testimony that you gave moments ago.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about doing the opposite, okay? I want to talk to you about taking a live round and turning it into a dummy round.
Okay.
Okay? Do you agree with me, sir, that the first step is you would place the live round in the inertia puller and smack it so that the projectile separates and the powder comes out?
Yes.
And at that point in time, you are left with an empty casing, a projectile, a pile of gunpowder. But the problem with your casing is that it still has a live primer, right?
That's right.
So in order to make the primer inert, you can take that empty shell casing with that live primer, you can put it into a firearm, and you can fire it.
Correct.
And now I've made the primer inert.
There is another way if you wish to hear.
No, I appreciate you, though. But
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
You agree that what I'm saying, it can be done.
Can be done.
And then after I've fired it and I've heard the pop, knowing that the primer has now been made inert, I can take that projectile and I can just put super glue on it and stick it back into that casing.
Well, you couldn't normally without expanding the case. That's what I was talking about when you do a sizer. You could expand the case with a sizer, because what's going to happen in many cases, and I can't say every one because I've never done super glue, is it's very difficult to get a bullet into a case that hasn't been expanded and sized. You could try it. I can't guarantee it'll work.
Sure, I mean, you can take the empty shell casing and you can put it on top of a projectile, and you can take your inertia puller or a hammer and just tap it down.
An inertia puller is made out of plastic. It is not for tapping anything down. But you could take a hammer, but what's very likely to happen is you'll bend the case beyond all use and recognition, and it can't fall in. That's why you expand cases in the process. You could try it. I've never beat in any bullets. Some bullets are very, very hard, some are soft. So it is possible with a soft lead bullet that you could maybe not bend your case and maybe not shave off your bullet. Possible.
And isn't it true, sir, that the live ammunition found on the set of Rust in fact had soft lead bullets?
I didn't measure the lead, so there's something called a
Hang on. I appreciate your response. In fact, sir, you have never actually viewed the live rounds that are in evidence. You've only seen pictures of them, isn't that correct? So you haven't taken them and looked at them, right?
No, I've taken all the pictures and looked, that's it.
Okay, but you watched the testimony of our expert, Mr. Haig.
Yes, I did.
And isn't it true that Mr. Haig testified that the projectiles from the live rounds found on the set of Rust were soft lead?
I didn't hear soft, but lead, certainly.
They weren't copper jacketed, correct?
No, not copper jacketed.
And he also testified that because they were lead, and lead is a soft metal, that's the reason that that projectile became so damaged when it went through Ms. Hutchins and into Mr. Souza.
Absolutely, that's called ballooning.
All right, thank you, sir. You testified on direct examination that you can't tell a live round from a dummy round in a photograph.
Simply in a photograph. I agree with Mr. Haig, who said the same thing.
Well, do you agree with me that you can tell a live round from a dummy round in a photograph if that dummy round has a hole drilled into the casing so it can't have any gunpowder?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, sir. And in your review of the case materials, sir, you understand that live ammunition from PDQ Props was sent to the FBI, and it was determined to be substantially different than the live rounds found on the set of Rust.
I do.
You gave an opinion earlier that you believe that the live rounds were hand loads.
Yes,
you recall that?
Yes.
And I just want to be clear. You're giving that opinion just from looking at photographs, not from going to the evidence room, taking the evidence, handling it in the way that Mr. Haig did.
Yes, and from Mr. Haig's testimony as well.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Wow, that was brutal.
I don't have any follow-up questions.
No follow-up, because there would be an objection anyway. Mr. Deputy, can you let's put them away. Pack it up, pack it in, and let me begin. There's my wrapping. That's all I can do. 2 deputies, one per firearm. Just throw the Denix in the bag. It's good. Just chuck it in there. Judge has a headache already. She's like, I'm manifesting Excedrin appearing on my desk. He's got this gun magazine, light reading material. What was the hammer? We didn't get the hammer. Is he going to beat on the gun? Deputy's like, I'm going to take those. They're going to go in here. Please approach. Judge says, we need a break. We're done for the day, I think. I've got a headache. Too many objections. All right, as the witness slowly leaves, I do wonder what's under his coat. What is that? Okay. Let's see. Let me do a quick read through. I need to shuffle the order. Okay. Okay.
All right, jury, we're going to finish for the day.
I told you, she's got a headache.
You can expect closing arguments to commence tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow?
Not right away. The defense is still putting on their case, but when the defense is finished, then we will do closing arguments, and they anticipate that it will be sometime in the morning that we will get to closing arguments, okay? So please don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court. Don't do any research or online Googling about the rest production or this trial. Thank you. We'll see you at 8:30.
Little smile there and a yawn from Bowles, who's never been, I guess, more objected to than he was today. Oh my goodness. What's the pattern that Hannah has on in that? What's that white and black pattern? There's a weird name. Is that like houndstooth or something? There's a weird name there. AWOL Podcast says, Ari's quick fix of the audio is why we're here and why, at least why I am. The technical skills are superb. Also, the jump around bar made this $5 super. The jump around bar. Nice. Here's what we want to do. I don't think we've got any more business to conduct here in court. Looks like we are done for the day. So we're going to jump right over here. Let me read you what I've got here. Okay. One more little tidbit I have to add here. Oh, phone's ringing here. Oh, it's Thal. We'll let Thal talk for just a minute.
Call from.
Thal. One more. Come on.
To accept,
Don't hang
press
up.
1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
There we go. Thal, my friend, are you there?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing? What are you thinking today?
I'm doing pretty good. Okay, so four things. I'll make it quick though. First off, I think we're going to have a hung jury.
You think so?
Because I think she enjoyed taking them apart too much. It started becoming a beat-a-thon, and she started going outside the scope of the evidence that everybody was concerned with, and I think the jury probably noticed that. So it's going to be one of those things that I think that
she went too far.
She did a really
too far.
Yeah, she did a great job. I think she did a wonderful job. Absolutely agree with you. But I think she went too far with it. The other thing, the only thing I would argue, the point I would bring up against me that the defense brought out from their own witness, which I was like, well, what are you doing? Was remember her interrogation video when she was going, oh yeah, just come to work and throw stuff together and I do this and I go here and I do that. That's not really a system, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what he said when he was on when the defense itself was asking him, so how would you go about doing this on the set? And he goes, well, I'd have a system in place. That's yikes. Yeah. And she
didn't have one.
Advocating she didn't. Yeah. I was like, ooh,
I have the
not
pocket
good.
system. The pocket and the fanny pack system.
Yeah. I was sitting there like, oh no. Oh no. Okay. So I got to bring up the worst prosecutor with a gun story I got. The Apex Legends.
Tops.
Oh, it is tops. It is tops. And it was really surprising. It was the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. The prosecutor, so I'll lay it out for you guys really quick if you didn't see it. The prosecutor picks up the AR-15, okay, shows it to the witness, right? Sweeps the jury with the barrel. Don't worry, it gets better. Puts it up to his shoulder because he's trying to make a point, right? Aims it at the defense table, right? Aims it at the defendant at one point, right? And I'm sure he didn't mean to. The judge says, hey, what are you doing? He swings back around. So now he swings back around to the rest of the jury again. Okay, Scott?
Okay.
And he does them again with the point of the rifle.
Flags everybody.
Puts it in out in his offhand, looks at the judge and goes, yes, Your Honor. And now the barrel is pointing right at the judge.
Oh, my goodness.
The only people he did not sweep was his own table. That was the only people he didn't
People are
sweep.
scrambling. They're diving for cover. They're just like diving for, it's awful. Thal, this.
Well, and here's the greatest part. So here's the last part is the greatest part of the story. So the, what do you call him? The deputy walks up, takes the gun from him, right? And you can see the deputy just
fishtail slaps.
Oh yeah, the deputy just kind of reached up and like snatched it away, looking at the DA like, "What are you doing?" And then the next day they come to trial. There's a plastic AR-15 that they have to use.
It's one of the blue guns. They're like,
yep.
This is all we get today, apparently. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it was that was the worst I've ever seen. But
okay.
But yeah, that's it. I'll let you go. I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's good talking to you, my friend. We'll see you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I've come up with the intro for this witness, right? If he has to ever give his CV in court, instead of giving that long version, I've simplified it into just a few short points that he can rattle off and get the same effect, and it goes something like this. My name, hang on, I need that part. My name is Frank Lewis Blair Kuski III. I was born with a matched set of Pearl Grip 45s in my hands. I learned to shoot rifle from Daniel Boone and proceeded to train Annie Oakley. I invented hunting in 7 states and hold the Boone and Crockett record for every big game animal that's ever walked the face of the earth, including the woolly mammoth. When Sam Colt invented the revolver, he asked me for advice. Mr. Kuski personally stamped the patent with the application. When James Bond needs a new gun, he comes to me, not Q. When Clint Eastwood borrowed my revolver, he took that and my favorite line, "Are you feeling lucky punk?" I'm messing this up. I fired the first and last shot in the Civil War, and I played the cannon not only for the 1812 overture, but in the Battle of 1812 as well. The NRA got their first donation from me. I gave George Washington his first sidearm and the white horse he rode at the Valley Forge, and I fought in every military battle this country has ever engaged in. That's pretty much what his intro was. I've never heard anyone else who has claimed so much experience. And he was not done. He was not done. The Lucky Punk. Lucky Punk. I can't even say it right. If I try one more time, I'm going to really mess it up, and I'm going to get that PH sound in there, and then we're hosed. This witness was gold for entertainment. I'm not sure if he moved the needle on the actual. Well, the one part we were holding our breaths for, he demonstrated, and the camera provided a great close up of how that the decocking works. But all it did was show that Sarah didn't understand how to decock the gun. That was it, and it has to do with when you put your finger in and pull the trigger. That was it. I think that's the only good thing we got out of him. The rest was just a stack of objections. Boy Scouts. Oh, I forgot Boy Scouts. Yes, he earns the Rifle Merit Badge. He wrote the requirements for the Rifle Merit Badge. Oh, man. Didn't move the needle at all for me, says Red Pen. I enjoyed it. I have to say I did enjoy from an entertainment value, obviously because I'm sitting at a safe distance from him. But yes, he pulled out the firearm. And do we go back to the replay? Do we do it? Let's see. Let's see if we can check out the replay. 1 second. Where is this witness? When he first gets up there, no. Okay. We're going to back up. We're going to watch the replay of the firearms coming out. Ready? Here we go. Let's take channel 2. This is a replay. Give me some audio.
Again, it's firearm identification, firearm functioning.
We're just looking at this to see if he
Reloading
actually
of ammunition and identification
actually pointed the
of
gun
ammunition
at the
with
judge.
dummy rounds and live rounds.
Any objection?
No objection
She is so hesitant.
within the confines of what we discussed at the bench.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I understand. So, sir, if you will...
She knows what's coming.
For these specific areas, subject to the ruling up at the bench. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Sir, if you will, if you could, however the deputy handles this, but if you could retrieve
Here we go, everyone. I'm going to put on the big screen.
firearms from behind you.
Okay. Back to the judge right now. He's like, give me the bag. He's like, no, I'm going to keep the bag.
Is a real...
Mr. Kuski, are you able to take the cylinder out so you can show everyone also that it's unloaded?
Yes, I can.
Friendly reminder to show it's not loaded. It's safe. There's our hammer in case the two firearms don't work. We can always beat them.
Revolver.
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
All right, first of all, everybody's nervous.
Everybody's nervous.
Because you have not demonstrated to us that they are unloaded. So before you
Second
start
reminder,
showing us
safety.
the weapons, make sure they're unloaded, including that one that you just touched.
He's like, but this is a dummy. I can't demonstrate because it's a dummy. It can't shoot. Well, like, well, it sure looks like a gun. He's like, fine, I'll show you. Whoa, don't point it at the judge. Prosecutor, she immediately turns around. She's like, jurors. Oh man, did you get that? Yes, we got that. All right, that's about enough of that. Right at the judge, I'm telling you, right at the judge, and then he denies it. He's like, no, I pointed it in the air. It's like, why? Explain to me why the bailiff dove across the wall there to tackle you. Oh man. He had two warnings. To make them safe, and then he denied it. That's what's going to stick in the jury's mind. Not necessarily the details about how the guns are decocked, but the fact that he drew the gun. It was the Denix. I realize it's a dummy. It's a dummy gun. It's made to look real. It's got little click, 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 but it cannot shoot. But yeah, he's great witness, right? Great witness, and so now we've got both the state and the prosecution who seem to be wrapping up on a dud. The prosecution rested yesterday, so today's all been defense. I said state and prosecution. That was wrong. It's all been defense today. We should have one more witness, I think. Well, possibly two. If Hannah takes a stand, that's going to be one of them tomorrow, and that might be the only one. There's also a possibility that her dad gets called. But what could he offer? That we haven't heard already? Oh, man. All right. What's a few bullets between friends, says Dean. Can't make this stuff up. Paralegal Mandy, you're absolutely right. We knew this case was going to get crazy, and it just gets crazier and crazier. Defense is resting tomorrow, which means we're going to have closings. I'm not sure if we're going to go straight from closings to deliberation. Usually we do. But I'm not sure if they're going to get to deliberate much tomorrow. We'll see. I think, well, if they close in the morning, give them each an hour and a half maybe for closing. That's a long closing. But an hour and a half on closing, I don't know, maybe. We might have a verdict tomorrow. We could have a verdict watch tomorrow. Golly G says, love this channel. Thank you very much, Golly G. Love your support. 7 months. That's awesome. Have we heard about the verdict form? No, but Martha, some of that stuff happens outside of our presence. Some of those discussions, just like the voir dire that happened earlier today, was outside of our presence. It wasn't televised, so they could be underway or already resolved, and we don't know it. The quickness of the bailiff was impressive. Yes, that was not George. Those were extra bailiffs. George is more. He's more like an Elmo sort of guy. I mean, I'm not no disrespect, George. We love you, right? So don't feel in any way that we're sliding you on this one. But we need the big guns in there for this one, the white gloves and all. All right. Go back again just the first minute and watch Camo Man. He knew it was coming. It was a setup. This is the folly. I have to go back and watch what happened with him. He definitely got told off. Camo guy got told off. He's sitting on the attorney level, which means he's with the defense. But not sure exactly what happened there. So we might have to rewind or watch for someone else to find it. All right. They're not reviewing closing instruction or jury instructions. They're not. They've wrapped for the day. I mean, they could be doing it outside of our presence, but it's not being televised. Member for 4 months. Thank you, blank. We've loved having you here. We've included you in every single birthday song. I don't know why you don't have a name. Hannah's pattern is herringbone. Charge sheet is quite short. Tampering may be dropped. I don't think it will be dropped. I think they're going to keep that one in there. Can we do a poll as to whether Hannah will testify? We've done that earlier today. Came back 64% said no. Let's see. Ironic, this trial is all about safety, and this guy was so unsafe. All right, so that's where we're going to leave it today. So obviously tonight, Ian, who has been watching this and developing a high blood pressure, is going to be doing a live tonight where he recaps this, and it's going to be great. So you want to watch that. Red Finch says, fun group and tend to learn something. 9 months. 9 months. This is the internet baby has after 9 months is delivered. Congratulations. Yeah, no way she can testify. It says Nosy Rosie. Put the instant replay overlay on the thumbnail. I'll think that one over. I'm really liking how the thumbnail's developing into. I mean, right now we have this right here. This is where we're at. We have to add something for this last witness. White glove. What would be the best? Michael Jackson's white glove. What would be the best thing to put in for this witness? There's got to be something in there. A satchel. Russian wild boar. That's a good one. Wild boar. Didn't he mention that twice? He mentioned the boar twice. That he's like hunted wild boar, and then a Boy Scout merit badge. Yeah, they're not going to sue us, right? Because they're not even Boy Scouts anymore. Let me find a Boy Scout merit badge, and we'll put that on there. Maybe on Miss Pickle. Do you think Miss Pickle could have a little bandolier with merit badges? Okay, merit badge it is. We're going to add that. I like the Boy Scout merit badge. Glove, empty barrel, the strap he was wearing, who were Boy Scouts. Okay, I'll work on Boy Scouts. We'll have that ready for tomorrow. In the meantime, we're going to wrap up for today. It has been a blast today. I realize, pun intended. It's been wild. It's been wild. Oh, Cannon. I like Cannon better than Boy Scout. What other people say they've played the Cannon in the orchestra? I think I'm gonna go Cannon because the Boy Scouts and all. Yeah, let's not drag them into this, right? Let's not drag them into this. All right, Cannon will be on there for tomorrow morning, as we're going to have closing arguments tomorrow. It's going to be so credible. I'm excited. All right, tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning. I think we're going to be, let's do what time do we normally start? Like 9 o'clock? 9:15-ish? It's a West Coast trial. I'm trying to sleep in. Every day I'm trying to sleep in. My kids come and wake me up anyway. I'm trying to get one day where I just get that little bit extra sleep. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe not. All right. Is there anybody we need to go raid? We can go say hi to some of our friends who are on YouTube who are sharing the wealth of expertise and entertainment. Let's see who's out there. We've got Broken Bakers talking a case I'm not familiar with. Icky Bell's out there talking about another case. Mom shot her daughter. Ooh, that one's scary. Bump stock ban challenged. That's uncivil law, talking about Supreme Court. Let's see. I've not see Judge Alex Manning's live. And there's Henry. I don't think I can. Oh, I can. I can redirect. We're going to redirect to Judge Alex Manning. It's a Zoom court. Good luck, you guys. Have a good night. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Uh-oh, I've got the wrong picture up. Please hold. Stretch this out. Stretch it out. Wait, I missed it. Dang it. There we go.